Hello and welcome, lovely writers, to this week's Writerly Wednesday. I hope you're all taking care of yourselves and that you are giving yourself the time to practice and grow your writerly life. Now, this week we're going to deal with something that has come up time and time again, a lot of times with writers who are writing their first book, but sometimes even with those writers who have more experience but are feeling a little less confidence than I would hope that they are feeling. So today we're going to talk about the 3 things that are stopping you from writing your book from start all the way to typing the end, and the things that you can do to keep yourself on track. Now, one of the first things that a lot of writers, especially newer writers, can get themselves caught up on or procrastinating with are coming up with the perfect title. Now, I will have mentioned this in other videos as well, so feel free to go and check the back catalog. But essentially, the issue with this is there's only one reason to have a title at the beginning, and that is to keep you writing it. So I want you to choose a title. If you need a title, choose a title that resonates with you and makes you feel connected to your project. That's the only reason to have it. And if you're writing nonfiction, I see a lot of nonfiction writers go and tweak and retweak and retweak their subtitle. So you've got your main title and your subtitle. The only reason you need to do this is if you are feeling super out of alignment with what you've already gotten. What I'd say instead is just keep writing. Why? Why is the title not important right now? Well, number one, if you are writing a book that you are hoping to sell on to a publisher, sure, they'll look at the title and hopefully the title, in addition to your synopsis and your entire query, letter, and pitch, are what get them interested. Ultimately, that title may go. In fact, most titles with traditional publishers do not stay the same. And so therefore, the only purpose of it is just to get you in that door. The only purpose for you is to get you to go from start to finish. In fact, by the time you finish your book, you may want to change the title yourself. Okay? It's just a stepping stone, and that's all. The number 2 thing is actually a book cover. Now, I know there are a lot of us who are very visual creatures, and I absolutely support this. In fact, I'm creating a vision board workshop for my Writers Flow group to take them in because I totally believe in creating a vision board or a mood board for every work you have, especially if you are a visual being. However, that doesn't mean locking in on a book cover. Why? Again, number one, if you're going to go the traditional publishing route, one of the cons for a lot of people is that you don't actually have any control over what your book cover looks like. Hopefully it'll be a collaborative process, but ultimately it's not up to you anyway. So hold on loosely, as I said, to your visual ideas. And number 2, even if you are self-publishing, you will have to come up with multiple options for your book cover. In fact, that's a good idea, especially if you're doing it yourself instead of through a book cover designer, but I highly recommend using somebody who's practiced in book cover design to help you come up with the best, because if you're looking for lots of sales, we do judge books by covers, and that just is a truth. So if you're stopping yourself, if you're midway or even just at the beginning of writing your book and you keep tweaking and retweaking and retweaking that book cover to get that feeling before you start, you are procrastinating. I get, and in Writer's Flow, we talk a lot about all of the things that we're saying or things that our internal editor is saying to stop us from writing, and that may be why you are so hyper-focused on this cover. Come up with something or several visual ideas on a mood or a vision board for your book. You can add things to it if you need to, but don't stay so attached to this is the cover, because as soon as it's even slightly out of alignment, or you're not feeling it, you'll feel the need to redo the cover before you continue. But the truth is, if you don't get from start to finish, you won't need a cover for a book because it won't exist, right? And I want you to get to that point where you type the words, the end. So the third thing that I see a lot of writers struggling with to get to the end is second guessing either their main story arc or even components, sometimes even genre, second guessing it based on trends. If you're someone who spends a fair amount of time on Twitter and you look up the hashtag MSWL, which is Manuscript Wishlist, maybe you're feeling too affected by the things that you see on agents and publishers' wishlist. And so instead of writing your story, you're like, maybe I'll pull in this component, or maybe I'll chuck out or pull out that component. They don't seem to be liking that. What I'd prefer for you to do, and the real way to win and get a manuscript that is worth traditional publishing, or even if you're going all the way to self-publishing and you're thinking about your market, which I want you to do, but not necessarily yet. Your best writing comes from your intrinsic interest. So absolutely, if you are bored with what you are writing, then I want you to rethink what you're writing, what genre, or how you're presenting it. That's worth a rethink. But if you're not bored and you are simply going onto social media or reading book reviews or seeing newsletters where they're talking about the best-selling genre, or this is a theme that's really sticking out and up and coming, almost always, by the time we get to that place where we're reporting on a trend, it's already at the crest. It's already gonna go down. Not always, but often. That's number one. And problem number two with second guessing is honestly, it's gonna detract and pull energy away from your story. Readers are gonna feel that. They're gonna feel it even if they're reading a synopsis. An editor is gonna feel it if they're reading it as part of a publishing intake. So if you're on the slush pile, I want you to write the story that you feel compelled to write. I want you to write the story that you feel connected to. It is true that Robert Frost saying, tears in the writer, tears in the reader, laughter in the writer, laughter in the reader, they may be swapped. But you get what I'm saying. What you feel is what goes into the book. And so I want you to feel it. If you are feeling bored, let's rethink it. If you are feeling disconnected and you're writing simply from a very intellectual place, I'd rather you rethink it. Anything else is not your business. Trends, not your business. What is like making a big splash at the moment, not your business. What are publishers selling? Not your business. Your primary business is to go from start to finish loving and feeling fully involved in what you're writing and not second guessing it until you get to the end. And then potentially starting to get really discerning about feedback that you get on the story. But I guarantee you, if you second guess and you chop change, you're not going to reach the end. And I really want you to do that because I believe in your story. I know you have a story to tell. I believe it's time to tell it. And so let's help get you from start to finish. I've mentioned a few times Writer's Flow. Feel free to check out the link that you'll see below. With that, of course, as always, if you have any questions about your writerly process that you'd like me to address in a future Writerly Wednesday, click it in the comments, send me an email, anjanette@storyislife.com. Otherwise, I hope you gift yourself some beautiful writerly time this week. And until next time, I'll see you. Bye.